Hello and very warm welcome to Between the Headlines, broadcasting live from London. I'm Jan Fosgaard and we'll be rounding up the week in print and trying to get between or behind the headlines of a selection of topical articles in today's British and continental European newspapers. My guests today are Munir Chalabi, energy and political analyst, and Ayo Johnson, broadcaster and African affairs commentator. Welcome to you both. And gentlemen, we're starting off with a quick roundup then of the week in print here in the British press. Casting our minds back to Monday in the Financial Times. Of course, this was the budget week here in the United Kingdom, so we've got several front pages relating to that issue. Here, Darling, this is Alistair Darling, the Chancellor of the Exchequer or Finance Minister of Britain, admitting the bill of £60 billion for bailout. That's about 55 billion euros, perhaps about $45 billion. For bailing out the British economy or the British banks following the financial turmoil. So that was the big news on Monday.
Terrible time, Jan, for families around. I mean, clearly, expensive time, mortgages are an issue, just household consumable issues are, so it's very expensive at the moment, and it's a shame that the government is not really tackling it in the fashion that a lot of families would wish, because they did tackle a few issues, bringing a lot of provisions in through tax credits for families, but they could do a slightly bit more of the thought.
Yes, well, we're seeing, of course, the reaction to the budget in just a second, Ayo. On Tuesday, the big story in the Independent, this is an exclusive for the newspaper, about piracy off Somalia, the $80 million Gulf connection. Crime syndicates apparently laundering vast sums taken in ransom from ships and their crews hijacked in Horn of Africa, vast sums of money being laundered through banks in UAE and other parts of the Middle East, according to this investigation. Of course, not big sums of money as compared to the bank bailout.
I think one has to look at the disasters we are having in the financial market. What's 80 million to the 4 trillion? We just lost all of us in no time. The real pirates has to be found. I don't think these poor Somalis are the real pirates. Let's find the real one who took the 4 trillion from us.
Okay, yes, indeed. And well, a bit of a mixed bag this week, of course, in the papers. Wednesday's Independent, the controversial fertility doctor, apparently he has been created, actually cloned or succeeding cloning an embryo, and putting it into the womb of, into 11 of them into the wombs of 4 women who'd been prepared to give birth to cloned babies. Presumably those babies have not yet been born. We don't know so much about it. We don't even know exactly where this took place. Apparently it's somewhere in the Middle East.
But there's some ethical issues there. I mean, using these new technologies, and families have always been very conservative about it, because it doesn't sound too right, playing around with genetics and defying what God would have otherwise wished, and it's very...
Yes, I mean, of course, the newspaper does highlight the case of the 10-year-old girl killed in a car crash in America, and the wish of the parents to bring a copy of her back to life.
Yes.
Anyway, the Guardian, mentioned the budget already. The Guardian on Thursday, Darling's great squeeze, the famous briefcase. I thought he had a new one actually, but the old one seems to be back in action. The rich targeted with 50% tax rate on those on over £150,000. So those on higher earnings are going to be taxed more. So presumably some of that money is supposed to be filtering down to, or the burden being lightened on people earning less money. Ayo.
Yes, I think it's a good thing, personally. I think naturally if you earn above a certain threshold, especially because we're looking at the rich here, and they do command only 1% of the population, or significantly less. So really, if they're being taxed slightly more in order that the people who are at the bottom end can benefit, then so be it. But on the issue of the briefcase, I would have thought that briefcase, you probably find that on eBay somewhere,
I'm going to look for it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this maybe is to remind us, if one of us hasn't heard about the financial crisis, that we are poor now. So we better be careful.
We better get saving. Indeed, that's the message in the Daily Telegraph on Friday. This baby will be 23 before we're out of this mess. Britain's debt will not be under control until 2030. So saving seems to be the way, the inevitable way forward.
I mean, 23 years is close to a generation, and if you think about it, it's the next generation that's going to feel the pinch and have to pay the debt that we're incurring at this junction.
Saturday's Guardian, again, a different story. There, the police, we have network of informers among protesters. Again, Guardian exclusive this time. Eco-activist offered cash payments to spy on climate group. Police trying to get inside these organizations to find out what's going on, presumably so that they can plan accordingly to thwart their protests. The latest in our surveillance society, I suppose, here in Britain.
I think this question of informers is really a useless one, because this has been used for so long time, Baghdad with the IRA, and then when everything with Al-Qaeda, it doesn't get you anywhere. The best way to do it is to try to find out what created the problem.
Look at the root causes.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Look at the root causes. Don't try to tell us something else.
I mean, the police have always tried from time immemorial to try and infiltrate groups, and this is no different. I think what's different about this is the fact that it's coming to light now that they've been doing this, but I think it's nothing new here.
Yes.
I think they've always done it.
Yes, following on from the G20 protest. To Iraq, Munir, in the International Herald Tribune, blasts push Iraq back toward the brink. Of course, this was the weekend papers is referring to the bombings on Friday, Munir. There is speculation about who it was that carried out these attacks. Do you think that the article is accurate in its assessment of that?
No, not really. I believe this
Who's really behind it?
I think this is a bit different from what we have seen in the past 2-3 years, or at least between 2004 and 2008. This is not merely sectarian. We have to look who really gains out of this violence. Definitely, it's the same people who were involved before, but here we are talking about, yes, on one side, it's Al-Qaeda, the old Ba'athists who lost power after 40 years in power, who they want to gain power back, but it's the U.S. also.
Worth looking at events from the point of view of who benefits, and then making deductions from that point, or is that the somehow?
Well, I'm not sure whether that's the right order to. I thought it's the other way to look at it. But I think what's clear is that we thought the violence had gone away, at least at this level, and to see it come back over the last couple of days with the sort of intensity that it has, it makes us ask questions as to whether when the Americans, because they've got a date of, they've thought about leaving Iraq in June, would they reconsider that option? Because clearly Iraq clearly is not ready to govern its own land by itself. It doesn't have the means to do so, nor is it equipped, and doesn't have the mindset, because
didn't the Americans ensure that Iraq is never ready? I mean, they haven't even allowed the Iraqi army to have tanks.
But hang on a second, you may say that, but the question is, these groups who've created this attack recently, are they internally led or are they external elements? What I do understand is that a lot of these guys are actually from places like Tunisia, and they've infiltrated themselves into Iraq and actually caused this mayhem. So, and there are also questions as to whether they're younger groups, disaffected groups who feel that they've got to cause this sort of anarchy.
This week, Obama's release of the Bush-era torture memos. There's an image here which some of you may find disturbing in the FT today, although it's a simulation of waterboarding in a protest against the practice of torture. The extremely disturbing what we've learnt from this memo about the practices of the CIA. But of course, the risk for Obama is that by opening this Pandora's box, that he may then risk sort of stymieing his other ventures in healthcare and other areas. Ayo, do you think that he should simply let this one go?
Well, he would like to, but it's too late. It's out of the box. And in fact, we've got revelation that there are pictures coming out this week which would even add more fuel to the fire, as we may say. So it's not just the memo itself, but it's the fact that this is actually going to create a lot of problems. We're looking at politicians who may be brought to the dock. There are people saying that they should be tried. There are even the lawyers who gave the Bush administration the credibility to use waterboarding and saying torture was legal. They themselves may be asked to come to court and explain themselves. a lot of people find themselves in real trouble here.